One of the biggest questions I have been receiving is, are permanent residents safe? If you have a green card, are you safe from deportation? What I can tell you is that there is a concerted effort by the Trump administration to attack green card holders. These are people that have went through the immigration law system. They have done things the right way, and yet they are now under attack. In this video, I'll talk about the 3 things green card holders need to do to protect themselves. Number 3 is the most important. I am U.S. immigration attorney Lilian Chukwurah, and I help my clients get green cards and citizenship using the U.S. immigration law system as it exists today. That may change moving forward. Right now, I'm advising my clients to limit their travels outside of the US. If they can hold off on traveling, they should, because we are discovering new ways for the US government to deny green card holders entry or to put them in removal proceedings. As you have seen in the news recently, in these examples where a green card holder is put in deportation proceedings, basically trying to get them out of here as quickly as possible because of their political views. Right? Because of their activism. So because of those things, and we don't know how far the Trump administration is willing to take this, I am advising green card holders in my firm to limit their travel. If it is not essential for you to travel, please don't. And then let's reevaluate a couple months down the line when we see how these court cases go. Because if the court cases go in the government's favor, then limiting your time outside of the US is going to be even more crucial. But if they're losing in court based on these policies, right, then my advice will probably change a couple months from now. So we're kind of in a wait and see mode right now with a lot of cases, because we want to make sure what is going to happen and, get more data. Unfortunately, with the Trump administration, they are limiting the amount of information that is out there that can be verified. So we want to get as much verifiable information as possible before I can, confidently advise my clients to travel outside of the US, especially if they only have a green card. There used to be a time that once you have your green card, you are safe unless you commit a crime or you got your green card through, fraud or misrepresentation. That used to be the thing that I used to warn people about when they become a green card holder. Please stay out of trouble. Don't commit any crimes, right? Don't get accused of any crimes. Don't plead guilty to crimes, things like that. That used to be the bulk of what my advice would be to a green card holder. Now that is changing with the current attack on immigrants in general. Remember, they told us that it was only going to be immigrants with criminal history. Well, I told y'all that is only just to get elected, okay? So now we're seeing that other people, even people without criminal history, are being targeted, including green card holders. The next thing you can do as a permanent resident to basically limit your interaction with U.S. immigration is to stay out of trouble. One of the fastest ways to get into deportation proceedings, to be denied entry into the U.S. after your trip outside the U.S., is to have a criminal history. So if you do not stay out of trouble, you can end up in deportation proceedings, or you could be denied entry into the U.S. So if you have a criminal history, you want to get that evaluated by an immigration attorney to see if there's any immigration specific consequences for those convictions, okay? Because sometimes there's some convictions that do not have an immigration consequence because of how long after getting your green card that crime happened, or because it just does not rise to the level of a crime involving moral turpitude or anything that will make you deportable. Okay, so you want to get that evaluation done as soon as possible. If you are currently in criminal court proceedings and they're offering you a plea, you don't know if you should take the plea or not, please get that plea evaluated by an immigration attorney that will give you basically the breakdown of, if you take this plea, this is what could happen on the immigration side of things, right? Your criminal attorney, unless they are also an immigration attorney, we call that crimmigration, right? If they are also an immigration attorney, they will be able to do that analysis for you. But if they are not, they should either get an immigration attorney to do that analysis for them, or have you get an immigration attorney to do that analysis to know if this is going to cause issues on the immigration end. And then your criminal attorney will evaluate how that will affect you on the criminal case end of things. So when you are an immigrant, right? When you are not a citizen, every single crime should be treated this way. Anytime you are charged with a crime, you should be getting that evaluation from your criminal attorney and from an immigration attorney to make sure that you are safe on the criminal defense end and on the immigration end of things. Okay? There's a reason I told you that number 3 was my favorite, because this is what's going to keep a green card holder safe. Okay? Safer than limiting your travel outside of the US, safer than staying out of trouble, is getting your citizenship. If you qualify to become a US citizen, if you have met the physical presence requirement, you have met the good moral character requirements, you do not have anything in your immigration background that should give you a pause before filing, you should be filing for citizenship. Okay? If you want to give yourself the ultimate safe zone, get your citizenship. Okay, it is harder to take away citizenship than it is to take away a green card. And we have seen this where the US government is invoking a rule that has barely ever been used, right? Saying that the Secretary of State can just deport someone, right? Can revoke someone's green card because it is against US international policy or against US interests. That is now being used to take away someone's green card. However, with citizenship, they have to go through something called denaturalization in order to take away your citizenship. So you want to make sure that you are taking steps to get yourself in line to get citizenship, and you are not doing things that will jeopardize your ability to get your US citizenship. And what do I mean by things that will jeopardize your chances? Number 1, file your tax returns, pay your taxes. Okay? File your tax returns, pay your taxes. Because if you have a tax due amount and you are not making payments to it, you do not have a payment plan, and you have not filed taxes, even though you've been working, that makes you not have good moral character. Okay? Because you're not filing your taxes, because you're not paying your taxes, you now are subject to the good moral character clause that will make you not eligible for citizenship. So you want to make sure you're filing your taxes and you're paying your taxes, even if it means you have to be on a payment plan with the IRS. That counts. Okay? Another thing, staying out of trouble. We're always going to come back to this. Criminal history can affect your ability to get your citizenship, because every time you try to apply for citizenship, you are basically saying, hey, US of A, please look at my whole history, see if I qualify for citizenship. Okay, so you want to stay out of trouble while you're a green card holder to set yourself up for being able to apply for citizenship. Okay, next thing is, if you have children, listen, If you have children, please make sure you're taking care of your children. You are providing financial support for your children if they do not live with you. If they live with you, it is a given that you are providing the financial support. But if they do not live with you, you need to be able to show that financial support. And how do you show that? Either you have a child support obligation and you're paying it monthly, or you can show that you are giving money to your child's other parent and making sure that your child is taken care of, and be able to document it. Sometimes people are like, well, I give her cash here and there. Great. Is she willing to do a statement to USCIS letting them know that you've been taking care of the child? If not, you may want to switch that cash payment to like Cash App or Venmo or Zelle, so that you can actually have a tracking of the amounts that you're given and how frequently you are sending that money. So those are the 3 things that you can do quickly to make sure that you are getting yourself in line for citizenship. Final thing you should be doing, again, it goes back to number 1 on this whole thing, limiting your time outside of the US. There's a physical presence requirement for citizenship, and in order for you to do that, you need to physically be present in the US. So if you're spending 6 months or more than 6 months outside of the US every single year, you may not even qualify to apply for citizenship, even if you meet all the other requirements. Okay? Additionally, if you are outside of the US for a year or more and you are able to come back to the US, you basically have to start that whole counting of physical presence all over again. So you really want to stay in the US, get your citizenship. Once you're a US citizen, guess what? You can live anywhere in the world and still maintain your US citizenship. Yep. So if your goal is to eventually maybe, spend half your time in your home country, half your time in the US, getting your US citizenship, if you qualify for it, right? If you qualify for it, will be a way for you to be able to do that without jeopardizing your ability to be in the US. A green card holder can't be doing that, but a citizen can. So, number 1, limit your travel outside of the US, because there is no guarantees now that as a permanent resident, you will be allowed to re-enter the US or that you will not be put in deportation proceedings. 2, make sure that you are staying out of trouble. The more trouble you get into, the more likely you are to come into ICE radar. And then finally, file for citizenship as soon as you can, because US citizens have special protections where permanent residents do not. So you want to make sure that if you qualify for citizenship, that you are applying for citizenship. And if you do not qualify yet for citizenship, that you are putting yourself in the best position, that once you meet that 3-year or 5-year requirement for citizenship, that you're able to apply. And that means paying your taxes, paying your child support, taking care of your children, and staying out of trouble. Okay? And also limiting your time outside of the US. Those are the things you can do as a permanent resident to protect yourself before the worst case scenario happens. If you are a permanent resident and you want to know if you qualify for citizenship, if you have criminal history that you want to check if that's going to potentially affect you, if it makes you deportable, feel free to schedule a strategy session with me. It is a free 15-minute time for us to talk about your situation and see the best options for you. You can do that by going to my website, lilylegal.com, and clicking on Contact Us so that you can schedule the date and time that works best for you for us to speak.